Yo, how's it going, guys? As you might have realized, I just started a Masterclass Academy, and so far the results have been absolutely fantastic. We had somebody win the opens of a tournament, so we got our first place, as well as we had a load of players placed in the top 100. But I want to focus on in today's video is duos. I just did this session where we looked at the best way and the game plan to qualify. I won't leak all of it. However, we had a very nice set of results right here, so you can see AIMPL, Legoat right here. So you can see he got top 43. Huge shout out to him. And as you can see from his track right here, is he is basically brand new to comp, right? And he plays top 50 already. So he just started comp last year. He's basically brand new to comp, and he's getting some very, very good results so far, despite having, zero earnings, very few events played, just because he is approaching the games correctly. So what do I mean by approaching the games correctly? Well, first of all, his strategy for playing out these cups is really good. As you can see, he's playing out 6 endgames, which is basically ideal. You can try to fit in a 7th endgame, but because so many of these games were like 26 minutes long, that meant he couldn't actually get his final queue, so he ended up a little bit early. As well as, I believe, he late started a little bit. He late started by like 10 or so minutes, trying to get an easier game, trying to get an easier W key game, which, I mean, I wouldn't really recommend it because, of course, it does help your queue timing later on. But the thing is W King really isn't worth that much. Even if this game they got a 23 kill win, as you can see, or 23 kills, that's only a 2 kill win just because they didn't win their first game. So in my opinion, the better strat is just to win your first game in these type of formats because kills are really worth not that much. They got 23 kills and they still ended up with 67 points because they died in the top 5. Still though, very, very good match history from them. They know exactly what they were doing. So let's take a look at their off spawn right here from Synergy and AIMPL. And again, AIMPL was brand new to comp, sort of last year he started playing, and he's already getting great results. So how is he doing this? First thing they're doing is as they drop in, is they scout and they get loads of info. As you can see, they're dropping in for the spot. Look how much they're scouting, and they're looking around, and they realize, oh, we've got this whole place uncon, and this is so good to do, especially if you're like, just gliding like this, is they've realized they've got this area uncon, this area uncon, this area uncon, as well as their initial jot spot, which is what they aim for every single game. And just doing that consistently as you drop in, as soon as you realize there's no gliders contesting you, just scout around, get some info, and that's going to help them have a very, very good setup for the rest of the game. And the next thing they do, despite being uncon and having so much space, is they are very quick to leave their spot and get over here towards buying crash pads. As of right now, in the most recent tournament, I think this happened later tonight, crash pads are removed. So I'm going to explain how you can use the launch pads similar to crash pads later on in this video. And basically explain exactly what you should do to have perfect rotates with the launches either way. As you can see right here, they carry a very standard loadout. One's carrying Wrecker Revolver, Fury AR, other one's carrying OXR, as well as Sentinel. Very, very good stuff. I really wouldn't recommend carrying, triple guns in duo. You need one person carrying mobility, and then, of course, trying to get a fizz as well is very, very useful. And right here, they get a kill, and they set themselves up perfectly for the rest of this game off this one kill, if you guys watch what they do. So they spot one player is rotating past, and it's extremely key that you get a good 3-2-1 on this player, which is exactly what they do. Double dink right there, but AIMPL showing off his name right there. And as soon as this player starts making space, look how nice they fight this, right? As you can see, as soon as this player starts making space, they both turn their attention over to this other player, and they start fighting this guy. And how do they fight this guy? Well, quite simply, they pressure from different angles. As you can see, Synergy gets the exit piece on this guy, full box, into the box, and takes him out. And just like that, they have got a free kill, which set them up perfectly. In these games, there's going to be a little bit of surge, but it's not going to be crazy high surge thresholds. So what they do is they realize as soon as this next zone closes in, we'll watch for a second, is as soon as this next zone closes in, as you can see right here, it ends up pulling slightly back towards them. They get a very, very good zone pull where they're at right here. As you can see, pulls slightly back. I mean, it's still probably going to go up somewhere to the north right here, but it pulls slightly back, and that lets them know that they can actually just sit in this box for a long period of time. I'd really recommend playing sort of reactively to zones in these type of games. You can predict like every zone and try to be ahead of everybody else, but what they do is they just AFK in this box, camping the card for the next literally 3 zones in a row, which is very, very nice stuff. There's no reason to complicate your games a ridiculous amount, be over rotating so you end up getting W keyed later on. Just by sitting in these cones right here for ages, they can easily get a kill. So you can see somebody else could come in here, thinking there's some spare loot or a shotgun or something. They could get a free kill, as well as it's very hard to get W King in the spot. Nobody's going to be W King into the spot, and you're most likely going to be able to make an endgame. There's a couple other strats you can do. You can like camp in buildings, camp in bushes, build a massive base. But I actually think this strat is extremely good to make sure that you get as many endgames in as possible. So what do they do as soon as zone shows up? And this is actually very, very interesting right here. I think something you guys can learn from. So in the general meta at the moment, especially now with crash pads being taken, out from the meta, normally the play is just to insta-rotate and be the first one in. And I recommend doing this 9 times out of 10, especially if you're backside like these guys. Just white line, just get yourself straight in, use some wood, try to refarm on the way. You don't have the luxury of late rotating and crash padding in. Instead, try to insta-rotate. However, in this case, these guys do an interesting play. Is because they have all of these spare boxes and people are going to rotate straight past them. They actually just stay here, hoping they can get a kill, hoping they can get themselves even more stacked. And they're really just playing for a fizz. Fizzes are very, very hard to find. Probably the best way I'd recommend you guys go get a fizz is from the black markets around the map, right? There's like 4 of them. Is you go there and you hope you get 200 gold from capturing a flag or from opening a safe or something, and you hope you have enough to get a fizz and you get good RNG. Otherwise, it's very hard to get a fizz. These guys intentionally stay here. They really need a fizz for this endgame, because obviously that's one of the main mobility items in this season, but they don't end up finding a kill. So what do they do instead? Now, they do a nice little simple late rotate, and the really key thing that they're doing right here is they're using line of sight like absolutely perfectly, right? If you guys don't know what line of sight is, just think, where are other people going to be boxed up? Nobody's going to be boxed up, in front of them down in this ravine, holding them back here. Everybody's going to be up top in the ravine, and sure, they might edit out and crouch around their head and look at them, but that is quite unlikely because all these people are trying to make endgame at this point in time. Like 38 up, everyone's just trying to make endgame. They're not going to be sneaking around trying to get into a fight. And these guys get a completely free rotate, and they also get themselves into a nice little chill spot where they don't have to do too much. My only criticism with this spot is they don't have very good visibility to plan out their next rotate. This is why normally these type of spots are better, is you have better visibility. But still, being down here and then having a nice line of sight rotate in, as you can see, nobody can really see them as they come up here, except this one team behind. They're going to have a very, very easy rotate to the next zone. And the key thing that they do on this next zone rotate, and all my dogs bark like crazy, is they try to go as soon as another team goes. So as soon as this team up here and this team backside goes, that basically, as soon as they go, that tells them that they have a free rotate. There's nobody behind them and nobody near them that can shoot them as they go. So what do? They sprint in, they block with wood, and here they end up using a single crash pad just to sort of get in after a team starts jumping on them back. And this is a very, very good call. 2x1 crash pad. Normally, with no crash pads at the moment, you shouldn't be padding this. I would recommend just use the fizz if you have one and try to get yourself in nice and early. As you can see, these guys get in. They probably could have done that rotate on foot just as simple. And the very, very nice thing that they do right here is as they get into the end of zone, is they build a load of space. You can see a couple boxes, and they do it wide as well. I think a big mistake that people make is they end up building boxes like up, or they build boxes forward. But you actually want to build boxes wide so you have more angles to spray and try to get a kill on people late rotating in who are going to be struggling to get into zone. And that's exactly what ends up happening, is they get themselves fully healed up so they can fight a team if needed. They really want to refresh before moving zones right here. Team gets sprayed and gets cracked right next to them. What do? They join in on the spray, and just like that, they're able to get a free refresh just before the end game. As you can see right here, literally perfect opportunity. They spot the body. They don't even need to get the kill, right? The kill points don't really matter in this. It's more so just about getting the refresh. And as soon as they spot that refresh, Synergy, good play by him, builds over. He makes sure the loot is airtight, as you guys can see. Always, always very, very important to make sure you don't get snuck on. And then also having the nice white tarp over here. As you make it airtight, you make sure there's nowhere somebody can sneak in or chop in or something like that. And then they're able to get the fizz. And they also very nicely juggle the extra heals back and get themselves perfectly stacked. And this right here is probably the best loadout you can have going in game, as you can see. So you've got 2 guns on each of you. Very, very crucially as well, I'd really recommend this if you want to have better games, is carrying 3 medkits into endgame every single game. And of course, the fizz is very, very nice. And of course, in the current meta for the cup tonight, I would recommend swapping out the where have they gone? Swapping out the crash pads for a launch. So you can just carry 2 launches instead. And this is the type of situation when you would use a launch. And you can also use it in combination with the medkit. So right here, you get a max distance zone. If you were to be carrying launch pads, what you would do is you would wait like a tick just as Storm is about to kick you out, or just as Storm hits you, so everybody else is gone. They've tried to do a timing rotate, and you would do a nice fizz launch pad straight up into the sky, and you should have a very, very free rotate. And it's important to be aware whenever you're launch padding, guys, especially in tonight's tournament, is you're super aware of where the divots are on the map where you can dive so you won't get beamed as easily. So you're going to be pulling your glider lower, and then also be aware of any type of terrain. You can see right there, these rock pillar things that you can hide behind, any trees that you can hide behind, that are going to make your launch pad much safer. So of course, Very, very basic stuff. You need to be scouting. But these guys, they realize free rotate. Let's just do a nice early fizz crash, just like that. They get themselves in. And also, I quite like how they get themselves towards edge right here. They don't go center of zone with that crash where there's going to be loads of people around them. Instead, they go nice and edge. Now there's nobody behind them that can shoot them on this rotate. And they do another nice fizz crash into the end of zone right here. I think crash pads will be back in for the cups for the rest of this week. It's basically just a small bug with them that Epic needs to fix. They do a nice rotate. They don't jump with a fizz. Instead, they just slide, get themselves up to a nice layer, hold their walls for a second as soon as they land, edits his teammate into the box. And just like that, these guys are an endgame. And honestly, I would say that's the hardest part about duos. It's just making consistent endgames. That's what I really struggled with in the past week of races. One of us, mainly Reese, no offense, would be dying just before endgame, and it would basically, you know, make the game super tough. So if you can get yourself into endgame, you can get, you know, a tactical kill somewhere before the moving zones start, like here, to get yourself stacked up on mats, as well as, you know, get some extra mobility maybe, like a fizz, or some launch pads from the body. You're always going to have a very, very easy time of having consistent endgames. So now, how do you actually have consistent endgames? That's probably the biggest question. So the first thing that you need to do, guys, is scout and pre-plan. I was covering this in the academy session the other day before these guys played the Duo Cup, is you always need to scout and pre-plan. So you can see exactly what AMPL is doing right here. He's figuring out, you know, where can he get to, what terrain is going to be good, what layer is going to be good to start from. They're basically figuring out exactly how they're going to be rotating in this moving zone and how they can have a really, really effective endgame. And if you pre-plan your whole endgame as well as communicate it to your duo and help your duo see where you're going, so you can see here, Synergy's doing the exact same thing. He's double checking the plan, making sure they're completely safe. And now these guys are going to have an easy time of executing a good first moving rotate. Dog's going crazy. Love to see it. And just like that, crash pad, just like that. You could also, it's a little bit risky, but you could do a high launch first moving and then play for high. I actually don't think that's the craziest thing ever. Do a high launch like these guys are doing. Get yourself flying up in the air and then dive down end of moving zone. You can basically skip a whole moving if people aren't aware of you. And if you tank storm for it, it's a very, very good play to have an easy rotate. Anyway, what do these guys do? First of all, they get to those old builds that we were talking about earlier that they scouted, and they start chopping through. And I really like the play by AMPL right here to actually claim low ground and get deeper into the end of first moving. So you can see he's just barely outside first moving right here, and he's going to get himself deeper into the end of zone as far as possible, obviously without using loads and loads of builds. And the nice thing, whenever you get deeper onto first moving like this, as you can see, keeps on going for a second, keeps on making space, getting even further in. Hello, dog. Is as you get nice and deep onto the zone like this, it makes your next rotate way easier. So how do you have a good next rotate? Well, first of all, you need that nice positioning like they have here, where they get themselves really far into zone. You can see that they're literally the furthest towards this side, so towards the dead side. So now, let's just say, for example, zone was to pull, you know, far, they'd have a very easy rotate. If zone was to pull to the side here, you can see they've got an easy rotate. And if zone was to pull back, this is a very, very difficult rotate to do if zone was to pull back. I mean, they could follow their old builds through low ground, but what I would say is to do the Blood X Classic, one of the best rotates. He taught me this in duos when I played a duo cup with him, is do an up and over, just like that. Or probably in this case, you would do an up like here, and then an over rotate, just like that, as you guys can see. So if it was to pull back, let's just play it for a second so you guys can see where it ends up. If it was to pull back, that is exactly what I would recommend. So you can see, it ends up pulling not straight back, it pulls like to the side right here. But as you can see, it's a little bit tough. I mean, they could maybe go first and get themselves onto low ground, but that's going to be a little bit of a tough position to be in. Instead, probably the best play is to go up and then over just like that as other people build towards front side. It's one of the best rotates you can do, and it's something I really recommend putting into your playbook. And also comment to your duo. Make sure your duo knows the sort of terminology that you're using. So send this to your teammate. Make sure they know what's going on if you want to do these type of rotates. Because as you can see, this is now a little bit of a scuffed rotate. And I don't want to criticize these guys too much. They obviously did insanely good in this cup. But running through on a busy lay like this when people are holding cones, like if this team is just looking back this way and looking for a kill, it's very easy to lose one of your teammates. You can both die on this rotate or end up in a very, very scuffed spot. Still though, they do this rotate. This team's not looking, so they get a little bit lucky right there. And they do this very, very nice floor bounce, as you can see. Let me find them real quick. Very, very nice floor bounce, just like that, as you guys can see. Burning through some wood. You don't want to be cap wood in final moving zone. You want to try to save some hearts for building boxes later on. And they get themselves into a very, very nice position. And again, just like before, guys, they are going wide. And as you can see, by going wide like this and having your 2 boxes and looking back, is they're able to find a very, very nice kill. This team does a very obvious crash pad. Everybody can see it because it's in metal. They end up getting a beam right here, and Synergy gets the kill. However, as soon as they get that kill, is they get fried. Somebody does the exact same thing to them. So whenever this happens, you always need to be a bit more proactive, especially as the player right here who is healthy, is create some space for your teammate. AMPL right here needs to go out like he's doing, create some more space, help hold walls, and just give them a bit of time to think. The biggest reason that you're dying in endgames is you don't have space and you don't have time to think about your rotates. So you can see they get beamed once again because AMPL wasn't holding the walls right there, he was holding his fizz out. And now they do a very, very nice tarp. I actually love this tarp. I saw Reverse 2K do this when he won FNCS back-to-back, whatever. Is this like little ramp tarp just like this. It's actually really good when you're on a busy layer. Just building a couple ramps. Let me skip back so you guys can see it. If you're ever in a very, very scuffed spot, you want to block off height as well as block off the teams below you that have floors. Instead of running along their floors, what you do is a simple tarp just like this from Synergy right here. As you can see, little ramps towards where he's going, blocks off all the angles, and then nice stuff by MPL. As he takes over, make sure to build metal, make sure to double block off the teams on their layer as well, and these guys get themselves as healthy as possible going into the next zone, and MPL keeps on making space. Just like that, and now they get a pretty lucky zone pull. This is another sort of mild criticism, is because where they're at right now is so far backside, I think it probably would have been worth investing like another 50 mats, just going up extra box forward there. Just in case this next zone wasn't to pull back. You never want to be in a situation where you're like praying for a zone pullback, otherwise your game's kind of over. Right here, they do get that zone pullback. It does pull, I mean, half the time it's going to pull somewhere back, so you've got a bit of time to breathe. But if it was to pull far here, they'd have a pretty tough time rotating this zone. However, it pulls back, they take a second, they get themselves fully healed up, and MPL start scouting out their rotate, and these guys do a very, very nice call right here. They go out the top, just like that, more floor bounces, and they also decide to stay on this layer. A big mistake people make in endgame is trying to win the game before final moving zone. And realistically in duos, unless you're like claiming height properly, is you can't win the game first moving or second moving. You can only win the game by doing a low ground play or doing a heal off play in the final moving zone. So just play nice and safe, play a high mid ground layer, as well as Synergy right here starts looking back for even more damage, even more kill potential, and also trying to force this team off their layer. As you can see, they want to claim this nice high layer underneath high ground where nobody's going to be really bothering them too much as possible. So you can see MPL does another nice rotate, Gary's up, goes up to another good layer right here as well, and they keep on forcing this team off their layer. Literally perfect stuff with these tarps right here. And again, they should be keep on making space towards the front set. They shouldn't be like just sitting in a box waiting for zone right here. As you can see, the issue is now, as soon as this zone swaps, look how scuffed this spot has just become because they didn't claim a couple boxes front side. A team has now cut them off, as well as they don't have any like good, options to scout and get info about where they're going next, as you can see. So now, as zone swaps, Synergy gets a nice kill on backside of that team that he's holding just like that, and they're not fully aware of where zone is pulling. Zone is actually pulling up to the north right here, so they get another nice zone pull. Thing is, you can't just be relying on these zone pulls, because especially when you're not like aware of where the zone is going, is a team will start fighting you from the backside of this, which is exactly what happens. They manage to get out the box. Nice little storm tank around the edge right there, and they continue on the same layer. They're not faffing around going up and down layers like crazy at this point. Instead, they're just getting to a good position where they're like nice and safe, and then tarping as much as possible. And tarping is probably the biggest thing that people do wrong in duos. Just like trying to get too fancy their tarps, trying to go too crazy. If you just do a nice, solid, extended tarp like this, a lot of good things will come. And as you can see right here, they're starting to realize that they could actually win this game. They've sort of converted it into a final zone position, just like I was talking about. They're into, the 12th zone. There's about a minute left on the clock before the game's going to end. And they realized they could actually win the game. So let's watch this from Synergy's POV right here. He looks down, tries to fight for a kill right here, and they realize the height is spraying them. And they haven't actually looked up at height at all this endgame. They're still looking down right here. And the thing is you need to be aware of what height is doing, especially in these final moments, because they might be running super low on mats. They might be running super, super scuffed, which is exactly what's happening right here. I'm not advocating to full send height the whole time, but when you're doing these full tops like this and you're pretty stacked, you shouldn't just be focused on these teams below you. You should be trying to think about how you can actually secure the win in the end games, and that's how you have much more consistency in your performances, because then you'll be able to convert like a top 8 into a top 5 and then into a win. So right here, they continue tarping, very, very good stuff. They're running very, very low on mats at this point, and they realize Height is getting straight into their box. As you can see, Height jumps in, AMPL takes out one. Nice movement here with a slide. Other player runs out of bullets, tries to pickaxe him, and just like that, he ends up taking out the Height team. And honestly, I think that was the best thing that could have happened right there, is the Height team full forcing that fight as they were fighting down on mid ground. Because what it did was realize and made AMPL aware that he has 3 medkits and he can literally just play these 3 medkits. And this is why earlier in the game, I was advocating for you guys to just always be carrying the 3 medkits, because it basically guarantees you to have good endgames. Because even if this fight didn't go their way, just hypothetically, even if this fight, when Height jumps in their box, doesn't go well, if AMPL was to run back into Storm and actually play these whites, he would guarantee himself a top 2 in this situation. Like right here, if he's like, oh, we're running out of mats, if he just runs back and starts playing the medkits behind this cone, he guarantees himself a top 2. Probably even wins the game as well, because he will be playing 10 seconds after Storm fully closes. So unless the player on low gun has a med miss and is full whites, he's basically guaranteed to win this game. However, these guys, very, very confident in their aim, as you can see right here. Hits the shots, nice slide movement to get out of the way of this guy, as well as dodge the pickaxe. And the geyser sends him flying back into Storm, and he realizes, oh, I can just play heal off. As you can see, lands up on the high ground. Other player down below with the med mist only, and this is what I was talking about. He probably would have won the game if he just played the med kits earlier rather than even fighting a Height team. Still though, very, very good stuff by him. Huge shout out to AMPL. If you guys are interested in joining the academy, AMPL was one of the best players. We've also got a full leaderboard right here, as you can see. I think he's actually second on the leaderboard as well. Yeah, very good stuff by him. 49 points so far. You can level up, hit some upcoming, get some new roles as well. And of course, we've got a duo session happening later today. So I'll see you guys in the duo session if you're interested. And again, the academy, thank you to whoever's just signed up, is only $9 every single month. Literally only $9. You can cancel anytime, and you get access to all this coaching stuff and all these amazing players and friend groups that you can join as well. And we've got some crazy results. What other good results do we have? Let me just look quick. This is Acid. He finally posted his video on how he won the Duo Cash Cup right here. We have got Kevin getting second in the Nordics qual. Nice. Who else we got? Dejan qualling Div 2. Very, very nice stuff. Nice. Kermit right here. With the qual finals. Very nice from Kermit. Who else we got? Vex qual Div 2 as well. Top 200 right there with the MC name. Nice. Clayton ended up 991st with only 5 matches. Very, very nice. Daniel's doing good. I'm not sure what cup this is. Oh, this is the Solar Equals. Very nice by him. Charles right here. What did he get? Div 2 as well. Very, very nice. Katrin, best placement so far. Where's he up? Top 6k. Nice. Better than me and Reese. Who else we got? Sebastian right here. Top 76 in the Duos Cup. Very, very nice. Who else we got? Who is this? Sadler? Oh, Sadler's top 300 as well. Very, very nice. As you can see, yeah, guys, the cup stuff actually very, very works. This guy's in Div 5 though. Not the best example to leave off. Let me find somebody with a good example. As you can see, the academy works really well. It took like 2 years to get a solos masterclass tournament win, and it's already happened within literally the first week of the Masterclass Academy dropping. So make sure to go sign up. I'd love to see you inside. I'd love to coach all you guys, and hopefully this video was useful. And huge shout out to AMPL. If you guys want to follow his Twitter, I'll follow him as well. Absolute goat right here. Outplaced me, as well as got his first ever top 50 placement. See you guys in the next video.